Crib store today. Come on in. What's good, guys? My name's Brant. I go by Brant Buys, and I'm going to show you around my space today. We'll start off here in my storage room. All right, so this is obviously where I store all of my items that I'm selling. Now, I sell a lot of clothing, so that's what's going to be on a lot of these racks. Everything's going to be bagged and labeled. If I make my way down this aisle here, this is where my SKU system is going to start. Now, I used to handwrite every label. Then I got tired of doing that, so I started buying labels that were already numbered. But the number increases as you go down the aisle here. And then you'll see, yeah, these have the new numbers on them. So we'll make our way down here, and then you wrap around, and the numbers continue going up on these next two shelves. Having an inventory system like this really comes in handy, just so you know exactly where everything is when it sells. They're really easy to come in here, pull out, easy to ship, easy to store them. Just very simple overall. But now we make our way kind of to the middle aisle over here. And then on a couple of these shelves are where I keep my new in-box shoes. Try to kind of group them by similar brands. And then up top here, just kind of some random things. And got another shelf holding some shoes. And then more shoes are over here in the corner. This is where I keep my loose shoes. Got a couple racks here. These come in handy, but I will say this last one was collapsing on me recently, but luckily I was able to save it. But yeah, they make good use of space, store a lot of shoes. And then along here on this back wall, this is where I keep all of my Christmas inflatables. So I have a bunch of these, as you can see. Now, recently I actually had a lot more, but a lot of them have been selling recently. It's the start of October now. So it's just that time of the year where they're going to be selling. But there's like this little lip along the wall where they sit on, and they fit really nicely there, so that's good. And then turning back around, got a bunch of bins here along the wall. Got a label outside on each one to let me know what's in there. A bunch of different things like flip-flops, hats, beanies, whatever. And then up along this wall over here, got a few more bins. Now, I couldn't put these with the other ones because they're a little different size, so they didn't stack well. And then here I've got my bucket of bras, not bucket, box of bras. And another little bin down there, box with some random Crocs or whatever. And then I've got another rack over here with some random things. I need to get a few more bins to put stuff in. But yeah, I got some kind of seasonal stuff and just random things over there. All right, now this side over here isn't finished yet, so I don't keep a whole lot in here. But I do keep a clothing rack to keep all of my larger clothing items that won't fit in my bags for my SKU system. You can see it's a 2-tier rack, so I'm able to fit a lot of clothing on here, and it doesn't take up a whole lot of space, which is nice. But it's a lot of jackets and a lot of sweaters. Now that I've shown you how I store all of my inventory, let's move into my office and I'll show you how I process it. All right, let's start over here in this corner. So this is where I'm gonna be photographing all the clothes that I get. Shout out to K&M Resell on the tutorial on how to build this, and shout out my dad for helping me. But over here we have in the closet, took the doors off the closet, got a little table here that fit in nice. I lifted it taller with some PVC pipe, because if I didn't, I would be very hunched over. But got a couple boxes here where I will put new clothing items into each one. And then we got the clear polys here where each clothing item will go in one and will be tagged with the SKU number. And then my SKUs are right here on my state-of-the-art toilet paper roll holder. So just grab one there off each time. And then got the scale here where I will grab a picture of the weight with the SKU number on each item. And then over here in the corner, we've got a bunch more of these boxes just kind of stacked up so I can grab more when needed. Got some packing materials and stuff up here. A couple bags over there and just some more boxes down below. So yeah, there's my photo station. Got a couple LED lights there. Then up under it, I've got a couple bins with just some random things I need to get those listed and get those moved out to storage once I get some more bins. And then a couple bags there. Now, currently I have my clothes laid out right here. I would really like to get maybe a stool or a small table I can put closer to the area so, you know, I don't have to take that extra step to grab the clothes. But I'll show you how I do it real quick. All right, so I'll grab an item over here, throw it up right here, get it straightened out, get the wrinkles out, grab some photos, Grab some measurements with photos, flip it over, grab some more photos, and then we're gonna fold it up. Then I will grab a bag over here, get that open. Kind of hard to do with one hand, but then once it's in here, I would come over here, grab a SKU number, throw it in the corner, turn on the scale, and then throw this on here, get a picture with the SKU number showing and the weight. Then I'm gonna add this to my listing. This allows me to know how much the item weighs when I'm listing the item, and I'm gonna add that into my pictures so I know what SKU number it is, just in case something goes wrong and I don't have the SKU in the description or anything. Then I've got a big table over here for whatever I may need it for. I'll put new shipments that I haven't been able to get to yet up under there. Then in the corner over here, I have a light box. Now, I don't use this a ton, but it's nice. It comes in handy whenever I do need it. Throw something in there and take some pictures. And then over here, I've got my shipping station. So pretty basic stuff over here. Got the computer, label printer, scale. But up under the table is where I keep my polys. So different size in each one, gets bigger as you go down. Yeah, so it allows me to sit here and ship for everything from here. All right, so here are all of the items I sold over the weekend. Now for the clothes, since I already have the weight and dimensions entered on eBay, all I will have to do is throw it in a poly, grab a label, slap it on there, and now I do need another IKEA bag so I can throw all my packages in there, but I'll just throw it on the table for now. And now they're ready for the post office. All right, well, let's go over some questions. So I am reselling full-time. I've been full-time for about 7 months now. It's October when I'm filming this. I quit my job like the end of February this year. Along the way, I knew that I would want to take on eBay or reselling full-time. I was working for a vet at the time as a technician, and I just really wasn't enjoying it, man. And I really love eBay and reselling. So I knew I wanted to make this happen. It happened maybe a little sooner than I thought. I just walked out of my job one day, couldn't take it anymore, but I was at the point with my business where I knew I could make it happen. The numbers were there. I was making around the same, maybe a little less on eBay at the time, but I knew I could ramp it up and take things even further. So I was ready to make that change. I'm currently selling on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. I use a cross-lister to cross-list all my items to each platform, so it makes it really simple to have all my items on each one. I've considered selling on Depop, but I don't really know if I want to take that on yet, but who knows, maybe in the future. So far this year, I've done about $110,000 in sales, right around $100,000 coming from eBay, and the other $10,000 coming from Poshmark and Mercari. I think about 6 from Posh and about 4 from Mercari. Now, Q4 is just starting. Like I said, it's the beginning of October, so sales are about to ramp up a lot. You know, really great sales around the end of the year. My sales are projecting to do at least $150,000 in sales this year, but I'm sure it will overtake that. I don't know exactly how much, but maybe it will settle around 175 or so, but I'll just have to wait and see. But like I said, I'm excited to find out and see how far I can take them. And just to put some things in perspective, I did about 60,000 in sales total across all platforms while I was doing eBay part-time while working full-time at my other job. I think the first time I started reselling was probably actually on a game called MapleStory. Shout out to you if you know that game. But I would just sit in the marketplace and spam different chats of what I'm buying, buy stuff from people, and obviously sell it to other players for hire. And I just had a lot of fun doing that. Now, reselling, making actual money, I probably started a little after I graduated high school. I was buying and selling Supreme, so the streetwear brand. I would buy their items when they dropped online, they would sell out, and then I would sell them on eBay. I didn't make like a ton doing that, but I made a decent bit. I was having fun doing it. Then I ended up buying some things from Alibaba and selling them online, but that's when things went south a little bit. So I bought and sold a lot of Pokemon reproduction games. I was advertising them as reproduction still, but regardless, eBay did not like that. After a while, they axed my account. They axed the family members in my house, so I couldn't sell, they couldn't sell, and I still can't sell on that eBay account to this day. So I do not recommend playing around with that. But flash forward a few years later, I started taking on reselling seriously, which would be a little over a couple years ago. I joined Adam's group, Bread and Butter, and like I said, I just started taking things seriously then. I slowly started building up my inventory, started buying and selling more. Probably started out with like a couple $1,000s on hand at first to begin buying inventory with. But you really don't need that much money to start. Just as long as you keep reinvesting your money, you'll keep building your inventory, which will allow for more sales over time. After that, I didn't touch any of my own money. I just kept reinvesting all of the money that I was making selling. And that quickly grew into all of this, which is really nice to see how much it can grow over time, as long as you keep reinvesting that money. And then flash forward a couple years later, I was able to make this my full-time job, which I've been very grateful for. A couple pieces of advice I'd give to new resellers would be, number one, start with the SKU system. If you plan on doing a lot of clothing, I would definitely plan on labeling each item, creating a SKU system so you know where everything's at. When I first started, I didn't do this. I would just keep my clothing in different bins, and then when something sold, I would be in there searching for it, trying to find each one. And slowly, once you start getting more inventory, more items, it takes a lot of time to find each one. And now it took me a decent amount of time when I first started doing this system because I had to do everything I had at once. But once I did that, everything was great since then. So the other piece of advice I would give is kind of like I was mentioning earlier, but definitely reinvest all the money you're making back into your inventory. Especially if you're just starting out, if you're wanting to take reselling into a business or something fairly substantial, you're going to want to put all your money that you're making back into buying new inventory. It's pretty crazy to see how quickly your store can grow over time, and just end up with this much inventory. And then once you do that, you're going to make a lot more sales over time. You're just going to keep building and building. But instead, if you're taking money out, you're not going to grow as quickly. I didn't really take any money out over these past couple years, maybe a little bit once. But that's what allowed me to quit my job and be able to take this on full time because I was able to build my business up to a point where I could. One mistake I've made reselling and honestly continue to make is picking up flawed clothing. So I do a lot of thrifting now. Once I quit my job, I took a big turn towards thrifting so I could get a lot more inventory in for a lot cheaper price. But yeah, it always sucks when you get home and sometimes you notice that a lot of the items you picked up might be flawed. A lot of thrift stores, they have that dark lighting, so you can look over it, but you'll still miss a lot of things that you might not notice when you put under those bright lights and you're taking photos. Now, don't get me wrong, flawed clothing can still sell, depending on what it is. But I would definitely recommend just to take that extra step, maybe go towards a window with some natural light in the store, just so you're able to look over your items better and just bring in more quality inventory. I do plan to continue to try to grow my business over time. I don't have a set goal in mind or anything at the moment, but I just want to work on continuing to improve the amount of items I'm bringing in each week, improve the quality of items. I'm constantly trying to improve my knowledge on thrifting. So as long as I continue to do those things, I should be able to grow my business. Now, we all have things that set us back, and I think the most important one for me right now is I'm not near a big city, so each week I'm having to drive out a decent bit so I'm able to hit multiple thrift stores. Maybe if I was a little closer to it in the future, that would improve, but who knows, we'll have to see. Thank you for checking out my space. Make sure to click the link in the description and subscribe to my channel, Brant Buys, where I post new videos every week. Well, like I always say, there's money to be made everywhere. Let's go get it.
Thank you for watching The Millennial Prophet. If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of MPtv Cribs, shoot me a DM on Instagram at millennial_prophet.